Facebook family and friends. What's happening, you guys? Move some of this stuff around. Kind of congested in here. You guys know what it is. It's Saturday morning. It's a little FA for everybody. You know what we do. I hope everybody's doing all right. It's been a long week, but a good week. We do what we do every day. So today I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna call in Sammy Rangel to. Oh wait, that's the same shit we do every week. That's right. Here he is, the infamous Triceratops-headed, rhino-domed Sammy Rangel. Good morning, brother. What's happening?
And this is why we're all in the family, right? I'm Triceratops. You're Stegosaurus. Like this is how it goes.
We were looking at Tater's head the other day, just thinking, damn, man, that poor boy. Danica got my feet. Tater got my head. Like I don't know.
Danica's head ain't small, bro. Don't even just avoid that. She got your feet too.
That poor girl. Hey, and she eats like a grown man.
Got my head.
Danica eats like a grown man, like a grown man, and she's so little, bro. But she pounds it down. She had 2 pieces of lasagna, a salad, like 3 pieces of bread for dinner. And 20 minutes later, she came in and she's like, "I'm still hungry, Dada." I'm like, "I ain't got no more food. Like the supermarket ain't got no more food. You cleared us out, man. What the hell?" So, morning, Kayla. Love you. Thank you. Morning, Amy. Hey, Jess. Good morning, birthday girl. We're taking Jess out tonight for her birthday.
Okay.
It's been a good week. So how you doing this week, my brother?
I'm good. It looks like Amy's not doing so good. Is that a butthole? Is that the icon? Butthole icon? Like a black hole. What's going on? Amy put a black butthole after Good Morning. Like, what's going on?
It looks like
it looks like a black butthole.
It's a sunshine.
Black sunshine. I guess you could call it that.
I keep forgetting you only have the StreamYard up. I got the Facebook running on the side, so on the Facebook comment, let me see what it looks like. It looks like a sunshine on the Facebook comment. It's yellow.
Does it?
Yeah, but on the StreamYard, it looks like a black hole with spokes coming out.
Let me open up my Facebook.
I
need to verify. Let's see here.
What are we in the morning? Like, it's too much, brother. It's too much.
I mean, it is what it is. You guys have issues. No shit, Amy. This is a 12-step group for guys that have issues. Where have you been? Hey, but why does your banner look like I'm spooning you at your wedding? It looks like we're getting married in that one picture.
What picture?
On your banner. On your Facebook page. You know your big giant picture above your profile pic?
Yeah, hold on, let me see. Oh crap, it does. You're the one who wanted to take that creepy picture. Yeah.
I wonder if Lizzie thought the same thing and just didn't say it.
Oh Lord, what is going on in our lives?
Let me see here.
We have issues, Amy. We know it.
It's a 12-step group for issues. I don't get it.
Dude, I don't know if you can see this. Hold on. I'm going to share my screen. Hey, my Facebook froze up, and I want you to see what it froze up as. That's all that it is. It won't move off of that.
Wow. All right.
I'm keeping that forever, bro. That is now your contact photo for my
That's me after PRC telling me I'm getting out.
Right?
Hey, did you like that Taster's Choice? I had to explain that to Julie while we were at the store.
Oh, she did? Yeah, well, I mean, I guess she wouldn't have got it.
I was like, you're balling if you can afford Taster's Choice.
And the big one, like the $12?
Yeah, you're balling.
Man.
Dude's coming up to your door. Hey, bro, you got some Taster's Choice?
I'm a member.
Dude, it's funny how the dumbest, simplest things. I bought some fucking moon pies the other day just for fucking reminiscent, just reminiscing.
Dude, you want to hear something just like damaging to the soul? Little Debbie's is discontinuing its snack cakes.
What are they making? Car parts? Fuck.
I don't know, but hold on, let me check.
Little Debbie's is canceling. Look at my girlfriend.
What's up? Hi.
Want that? Look at my girlfriend.
Hey, that's not your girlfriend.
That's my girlfriend.
I'm a new bitch. Ooh, I'm mine.
Julie! We don't fucking swear on this feed.
Yeah.
That's the redhead in her.
I love your hair.
I came home from St. Louis and she had red hair, and I'm like, my wife's gonna kill me if she sees her hair.
Oh, hold on.
It's so funny.
Oh, it's been disproven.
Oh, it's a rumor.
Yeah.
The hoax.
It was all over the place, though. I was scared. Hey, Lizzie and I were talking about stocking up, like going out and buying 1,000 freaking cases of
That
Nutty
shit'll
Buddy.
last forever. It'll last forever.
Right?
That shit ain't going nowhere.
Not anytime soon.
That'd be like, that'd be like Marlboro saying we're going out of business. We're no longer selling cigarettes. What?
I wouldn't even be mad, bro.
We're
I
switching
wish they
over to
would, 'cause
plungers.
it's the only way I'm going to quit smoking.
Oh, man. Well, this has been a week to remember. It's been a hell of a week here, but here we are still staying afloat, I would say. And I think the topic we're going to talk about, so I've had a great week with a lot of terrible shit in it. Let's put it that way. Because I've managed to stay in a decent mood overall, despite all the BS that's going on around here, getting dragged back into some shit I'm just trying to distance myself from, right? So anyway, when this is probably, she said, dumb ass, you should put that in the banner. Dumb ass quit smoking with bad lungs. Yes. I would say so too. Yeah. Well, I think you should really make an effort to quit smoking, bro. It's going to keep you around longer, for us.
Yeah, I agree, man. And it's been rough. Like, it's the last
Here,
of my...
Let me put you on the hook. I'm not saying to quit today, but make a commitment today to quit. And we'll work it out. We'll figure out how to do that.
Lizzie and I made some steps towards that. Like, we took smoking.
Nope. Make a commitment to your audience, to FA through your recovery.
Yeah.
It's a good start with Lizzie, but you got to go that. And I'm not saying you're going to do it today or by next week. I happen to know it's a process, but if you make the commitment, even if you don't start the cessation part, the idea, look at Amy says it is 12 steps, right? It's the idea that you're willing to even consider that as an option of quitting.
Yeah. We took smoking out of the house for the most part, although I break the rules sometimes in my office when I'm working. But like in the general home, she doesn't want smoking anymore.
You're avoiding the question.
No, it's absolutely. We've been talking about being done with the cigarettes before summer starts.
You're avoiding the question.
What's the question?
Can you make a commitment to quit?
Yes.
Say it.
Hey, Missy. I absolutely make I absolutely make a commitment to quitting smoking. It's something I have to do. My lungs are at a point now where I'm starting to damage like everything.
Yes. I'm happy to hear that. We'll leave it at that. Commit to a day, fucker. I think we need Amy on here. Intervention. Today we're going to talk about Monte quitting smoking right here, right now. We're going to put a gun to his head and everything if we have to. Amy, you need your gun.
Oh shit!
Amy's going to show up with her.
Hell yeah, Missy.
Oh, look at you guys can be partners in that. You need some hand holding, Monte? You need a little hand holding?
I do at times. Like I need someone to hold my hand and tell me I'm beautiful and let me know.
So let's talk about. Me and you have had this discussion many times. I'm gonna share a little bit about some recommendations for people who are thinking about quitting smoking. Right. I personally am a fan of cold turkey because in a few days you're done. You'll go through hell for a few days. Like you really will go through. You'll go through the mental stuff, which is kind of like, Missy. We try to be honest here.
Thank you, Missy. Love you.
Yeah, Monte might be beautiful on the inside, but that's where it stops. Okay, I mean, would you agree with that, Monte?
This is my support circle, Missy. This is my support.
The 3 days is hell. Yes, I've been there. I've done that. Look, cold turkey is the easiest, not the easiest, the fastest way to do something difficult. It's like ripping off a Band-Aid, right? Yeah, I agree with you. And it for some people, it could be 5, 6 days, 7 days. Now, that's the withdrawal part. And then I think after it takes about 2 weeks to get over the mental withdrawal. It takes about a solid 2 weeks to get off the mental withdrawal because you wouldn't believe how many behaviors you have associated with smoking. And the reason I say that is because when you quit and then you start doing things that you naturally do throughout your day, you're going to see that those things are triggers. Now, when I was smoking after food, especially breakfast, I had to have a cigarette. It was like paired. It was like breakfast cigarette, right? And so, every time I have breakfast, and just to be honest, after sex, I had to have a cigarette, right? So it's like there are a lot of things that make it more difficult and more harder than just more harder. That didn't come out right. Than just quitting smoking, right? Driving, yeah. So there are two. I'm going to try to keep this short. There are two types, unless this is what we talk about today. There are two types of cigarettes that we use, right? Believe it or not. Yeah, it was like 3 weeks. Yeah, that's why I said like a week and then 2 weeks. Yeah, quit turkey. Driving was the hardest. Yeah, I'm with you guys. This is real. This is real. In fact, interesting fact toward 911. More people in recovery continue to smoke than quit. It's like above all other substances, it's the one substance that more people fail at routinely. Isn't that crazy? Like that's just cigarettes.
Yeah.
More than heroin, more than fentanyl, more than alcohol. People give those things up better, faster, and more often than they do their cigarettes. True fact, right? Anyway, that's a side point. Two times that we smoke. One is when we have a habit. So breakfast, sex, driving, those are habits. Those are habit cigarettes. And then there's craving cigarettes. And how do you know the difference? Well, so put it this way. I'm just going to look into the crystal ball of all you smokers in your minds, right? Before you go to bed at night, you probably smoke a final cigarette.
Yep.
Right? And that's before you go to bed. Because you're trying to suck up as much of that poison into your body because you know you're going to go a long period of time without it. And then normally when you wake up, it's one of the first things you have to do. That is a craving cigarette. And it's built on the fact that you haven't dosed nicotine in X amount of hours. especially if you're a heavy smoker, right? If you smoke, I'm going to say heavy is smoking more than 10 cigarettes a day. It could be considered 5, but I'm just going to be generous to say if you smoke more than 10 cigarettes a day, you have periods in your life where you are craving. So maybe you go to work and you can't smoke during work, so you have to wait for your break. You are probably craving at that point, right? Your body needs a dose. It's like an alcoholic who needs a drink. It's like somebody who needs a shot, whatever it is. You are craving it. This is not simply, I'm bored.
Yep.
Those are the hardest to eliminate. The other side of that are what I mentioned earlier, habit cigarettes, these habitual things that we do around cigarettes, right? And these aren't necessarily, how many of you have ever smoked a cigarette and then within like 5 minutes have another one in your mouth and you're like, why am I smoking? I just smoked a cigarette, right? Like I shouldn't need a cigarette yet. But you didn't even realize you just did it out of typically boredom, right? Or it's associated with a behavior, like people said, eating. It's associated with stress. It's associated with.
See, mine's the opposite of that. When I don't have a cigarette, I think, why don't I have a cigarette in my mouth? Like I smoke 3 packs a day
Yeah, you're on a different scale because
right.
You're an extreme smoker.
Yeah.
You're at a very high level of dosing, basically. So yeah, it's different. Yeah, it's different. But here's the thing: we all have these habits cigarettes. Now, those are the ones that are easiest to give up. So Monte, if I'm going to say out of the 30 or 60 cigarettes you're smoking a day, let's assume 30 of them are habits, and that 30 of them are cravings, right?
Every time I get behind the wheel.
That's right, Missy. It's going to be on your ass.
Every time I get behind the wheel, every time I go to the bathroom, like these are constants, right? If I go to sit down in the bathroom, I light a cigarette, right? It's the immediate, bam. If I get in the car, the first thing I do is grab my cigarettes, light a cigarette, and so here's what's crazy. I can take a 5-minute drive, finish my cigarette when I get there, walk into a gas station, buy a soda and more cigarettes and a candy bar, walk outside the gas station, get in my car and light the next cigarette, right?
Yes,
like it's time.
I know. I've watched you do it.
Yeah.
Now, how many hours do you sleep a day, roughly?
Right now, on average, I'm averaging about 3.8 to 4 hours.
Let's say 4. So that leaves you 20 hours of wake time. So 60 divided by 20. That averages about, that doesn't seem right. Is it right? Yeah, it averages about 3 cigarettes an hour.
Mm-hmm.
But it's probably more than that. So the first step, if someone is looking to quit, here's the first step. I would say one that's probably going to be too hard. I would say you could go cold turkey, but I think knowing you,
I did. I quit smoking for 2 years on by choice, not.
All right. So you have some experience.
Now,
if you weren't going to choose to go cold turkey, which I would recommend. That's right.
I love you, Missy.
She's on it.
I know.
She's going to spam your phone. So listen, what the first assignment I would say to do, you don't make a single change, but we're going to add a behavior to your day. And that's journaling, right? You're going to have to journal, and it can be very simple. It can be on your phone, it could be a piece of paper you keep with you, whatever. You would just journal when you smoke and what you're doing. So at the time, so 6:15 woke up, smoked. 6:30 ate breakfast, smoked. Something like that. You're just going to document for like a few days when you're smoking, and then once you document that, we would look at that and try to find the patterns in your day, because there's going to be some very strict patterns in there.
That was really helpful when I did that with my eating habits. when I was
Yep.
changing my eating habits, when I was hitting like 330 pounds, and I started writing down everything I ate and when I ate it, and that actually helped me cut out a lot of the BS that I was eating,
Yeah.
right? Because I got to see what I was eating, and I got to see when I was eating. Like I was eating right before
It takes
bed.
something that's kind of like invisible and makes it tangible, makes
Yes.
you see it, right? So you could journal for, say a week, and then we would just sit back and look at all of that. You're going to see there's waking ones, there's sleeping ones, there's stressful ones, there's meal ones, whatever. You're going to see that. And then what we would start to do is start to think about which ones could we start to eliminate first. And then you could just eliminate some of them, like say, I'm going to stop these. But there's some things that you can put in between there, such as if you smoke a whole cigarette, smoking 3/4 of it for a week or two at those particular times, the ones that we identified you could tackle. Maybe you need a full one when you first wake up, right? And then little by little, you would start to spread that 3/4 of the cigarette into those other groups. Or once you get 3/4 of the way, keep your other full cigarettes and reduce the 3/4 to half, to a quarter, and then eliminate them altogether. And now you're only left with the ones that are like more like cravings. And then you can start to do things instead of reducing the amount of cigarette that you smoke. If that's too hard, you make it harder to get to the cigarette, right? So you're still going to smoke. Let's say you want to smoke first thing in the morning, but you keep your cigarettes up on the rafter in your garage, and you have to climb a ladder. You have to go outside, open the garage, open up a ladder, climb up there, grab. You can do. It doesn't have to be that drastic, but you can do things like that to start. Because what you're really doing is while you're making it harder to get to, you also have to delay it. Right? Because you put it, because it's not within your fingers' reach. I mean, cigarettes are expensive regardless. Yeah, whether you're smoking all of it or half of it, it's still the same price, right? Now, but the idea is that two things are happening when you make them harder to access. It's harder to get to, so you're going to start to think about, do I really want to put the effort to go all the way out there to get it? And you might just say, fuck it, I'm not doing it right now. I don't have time, or I don't want to. The other thing is you've made yourself wait. So now you're training the body to learn how to delay gratification. Because Monte, you're struggling with gratification, right?
Right.
And so the reason you smoke so much is because you don't know how to delay gratification. Once we learn how to delay gratification, it starts to give us some physical, mental, and emotional discipline and strength around quitting.
And you know what's crazy about what you just said, right? Like I went to a Bucks game the other night with Georgie. Wednesday night or Thursday night, we watched them play Sacramento. And hey, Thea, and I didn't think about having a cigarette whatsoever the entire 3 hours we were in those seats watching the game, talking, getting food, not once did it bother me. When we're on this live, right? Like, so you guys know, I don't smoke while we're on the live. Sammy and I had talked about it. When we first started doing it, I would have a cigarette because it's my office and my life. But we had talked about how it affected our viewers, right? Like maybe some of our viewers are struggling with quitting smoking, and here I am puffing away while we're talking. And so we decided I wouldn't smoke during the live sessions. It doesn't bother me in the least, right? When we go to the movie theater, it doesn't bother me in the least. When I was incarcerated and they took cigarettes, I had cigarettes because I was selling them on the black market. Like I was hustling. I didn't smoke my cigarettes because I knew this little stick was worth $10, right? Like I'd rather have the canteen. I wanted the $10, right? None of those times did it bother me to quit smoking at all. But the time I quit smoking for 2 years and could smoke, if I had wanted to, I was miserable. Like, and I know it's a psychological thing. I know it's a mental thing. Right?
No, that's not. That's partially true, Monte, but we got to be careful because that's also judgmental. The not that was your intention. The smoking is a physical addiction as well, and it has some very peculiar characteristics and traits that most of us aren't aware of. So it's not just brain power that's at work here when you talk about that, right? It's not just it's hard but necessary. That's right, Amy. And so you always got to remember, addiction isn't just about how strong you are mentally or emotionally, because we're also fighting the physiological, the medical, the addictive components of the science. Now, let me tell you what is happening. It's not willpower. It's we have to talk about the neurological aspect or component of addiction. Neurological meaning your central nervous system.
Right.
You got to understand, bro, your central nervous system is fucking a million years old, basically, right? It has been tried and tested and survived. It is the adaptation from the very beginning of humanity is what we have inside of us. All those lessons learned. So here's what your central nervous system does. This is this hole. Let's say this is the nerve right here, and this is the hole, right? This is what you call a receptor. This receptor, that nerve is looking for chemicals, and that's where that's how we get serotonin. That's how we get adrenaline. This is how we get a lot of stuff. It basically eats these chemicals, this food, right? What on these particular receptors, we're getting nicotine. What's up, Danica? Is that Danica? Can't hardly see. Hello, Mija. Oh, who is that? Is that Tater? Look at Tater.
I don't know what a cheese cookie is, bro.
It's for eating.
It's for eating?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Do me a favor, go get a shirt on and then you can come in, okay?
Wow.
Love it, Amy. I love your story there. That's man, look at that. $1,200 a month up in
I love you. Go get your shirt on.
Amy, $1,200 a month for how long? How much overall would you say you spent lifetime? What's the total $1,200 a month lifetime? Just multiply it by the number of years you did that. Ballpark it. So, receptor. When you smoke cigarettes, there are chemicals released into your body. And so let's say the nicotine is what this receptor is now primed for, right? And this central nervous system is a lot like a dog in the sense that it knows what to expect based on patterns of behavior. So like a dog, right? Dog knows when it's time for a walk. Dog knows when you're going to work. Dog knows when you're going to feed it, when you're going to give it water. And it starts to anticipate that, right? And so it's the cigarette, the nicotine is what this receptor is primed for. This cigarette, this nerve, the central nervous system hears your thoughts before they're actually created. It knows what you're thinking before you know what you're thinking. So this receptor says mealtime, right? And then his mouth is open. And you know how you get irritable, itchy, crazy, you can't, anxiety, because that's your central nervous system saying, I need to eat, right? And it's bugging the shit out of you. And it's like, it's irritating. Imagine it getting like red and raw. And it's basically forcing you, signaling you, trying to irritate you into giving what it wants, because it's learned that if I sit at the door and whine, you're going to let me out, right? That's Pavlov, right? You've been conditioned, right? Now, because it can hear what you're thinking and it also knows your patterns, it understands this thing that you're not in control of. There is no subconscious part of your brain that is controlling. This is an independent operating system. It doesn't depend on you, right? It can do things all by itself. It has its own mind, so to speak. When you are signaling and your brain knows that I'm about to get into a situation where I cannot access this, what this does, and this is where people get tricked, this is where people think I'm in control. When it realizes that it's going to be deprived, like that African frog, it can go dormant. It says, let's take a nap. And then it retreats. Now, you're like, I'm not feeling anything. That's proof I'm not addicted, right? Because this is now dormant, people are like, I can control it. I can stop whenever I want. Look at me now. When I went to jail, I didn't even have any cravings. When I went to the Bucks game, I had no cravings. When I'm in the car with Samuel, I have no craving. it's not that you don't have any cravings, is that your central nervous system understands access. And when it sees that there is little to no access, it will go dormant, right? It will go to sleep. And then, like that African frog, it starts to wake up even before it rains because it's something in the environment that we don't detect, that it detects, that says rain is coming. I need to start speeding up my heart rate. And, I need to move a little bit. I need to start flexing. And then the cravings turn back on. That's why we can go to jail and prison, not smoke for 2 years, get out and have a cigarette the minute we are on the other side of the gate, because it goes to sleep. See, the fact that these cravings, whether we're talking about cigarettes or anything else, can go dormant, often misleads us to thinking we're not addicted and that we have control over something. And this is proof why. This is the part where we're going to talk about X. We can defeat X for only so long, but we will have to defeat the X in our lives repeatedly and throughout at different stages. It might be every day, it might be every month, it might be every year, it might be every 10 years. But we've always said there's no cure for addiction. So it's not like when you quit smoking, you're out of the woods. It just means that as time goes on, your mechanisms improve, you get stronger, savvier, right? But you're still at times putting it off because you'll want to smoke. So that is, in essence, what is happening when we don't crave, and we mistake that to believe control, willpower, and, cured.
See, I didn't think any of those thoughts. My thought was the distraction and the knowledge that I can't have one, right, just makes me not really care. Addiction-wise, I know I'm addicted. I wanted to quit smoking for years now, and I can't, right? Like, I wanted to and haven't been able to. I don't want to smoke. I don't want to spend $20 a day on cigarettes. I don't want to, die sooner than I need to and leave my kids behind. I don't want to wake up and have these coughing fits that make me pass out at times. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to do this shit.
And be mindful of that. I am not talking about conscious thoughts.
Okay.
These are the mind games we play with ourselves, man. And we're not aware of it because a lot of this is subconscious.
Right.
Trust me, Monte, at this stage in my life, I have interviewed and counseled tens of thousands of addicts. These are recurring themes. You can hear the language of the addict, right? The language of, this is where Formers comes from. It's not what Sammy thought. It's what Sammy collected over the years. And I happen, because I'm an addict, because I live with addiction, happen to share those thoughts. I don't know about you, but for the longest, I thought I was the only one who thought the way I did. And then when I got into helping people get out of this shit, I realized, holy shit, that's the way I was thinking. It was just like a mirroring. And it didn't matter if you were like Amy, or if you were like Monte, or if you were like Chris, or if you were like whoever, right? Like, we all have the same like broken logic. And the reason that broken logic is parallel with each other is because it stems from the same disease. You can predict what the disease is going to do and how it's going to act. Plain and simple. That's why the more we learn about what we're up against, the better we are, because we can start to plan. And here's the tricky Jedi bullshit part of this, man. How do you outsmart something that hears your thoughts before you have them?
Right.
I'm sorry if I did. I should have not shared that. That's probably some Jedi knowledge I should have just kept to myself, because
You're right,
that's fucked up, man. Like, what am I up against?
Yeah.
You're up against your own worst enemy who knows you better than you know yourself. Welcome to Having Chill. Amen. Amen, Missy. And this could be either gender, but that's what it's like to have an ex too.
Yeah, right.
It's like, fuck.
I almost had to get into a fist fight with Danica the other day.
Dude, you need to. I'd just go ahead and take one for the team.
I'm afraid of her.
I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked you when I first met you.
Yeah, right. In this case, yes.
So what do you think about that, Monte? What are your thoughts on what I've just shared? Like this whole, so
It makes a lot of sense,
we're
right?
talking about quitting, we're talking about habits, we're talking about dosage, we're talking about cravings, we're talking about understanding where delay comes from, delaying gratification. How is that stuff hitting you?
It absolutely makes sense, and it clicks, right? Like, I know that everything I've done before hasn't worked, right? And I know I need something. I know I need to quit, right? Now, it's not that I want to quit. I have to quit. Like, and I'm going to. Either I'm going to die or I'm going to succeed, right? Because smoking is going to kill me. I'm definitely excited. Like, but one of my other main problems is I can't quit smoking when other people are smoking around me, right? Like, I'm not strong enough for that. I'm strong, and don't get me wrong, bro. Like, I have
The
faith in,
trigger.
right? I got faith in my strength and my abilities and my willpower. Like, it hasn't been easy staying home, right? There's been times where the trade was worth it to me mentally, right? Even though I know it wasn't, there were times that I had to make the conscious decision to not go back to prison, right? To not go back to the old life, to not go back to the old shit. So I know I'm not weak, but that trigger there, right? Like sitting down and having someone light a cigarette right now in the beginning phases, I can't do it, man. Like, I'm gonna have a cigarette.
Monte, you've got to challenge. You have you're still at the stage in your recovery where I think, from what I'm looking at, if I can share this, right?
Yeah.
What I think is where you are filtering addiction through a morality issue.
Right.
This is not a morality issue, and it doesn't serve us to think about it in the terms of morality. Am I strong enough? Am I too weak? Am I, whatever, however we think about that. Imagine breaking your leg and saying that the pain you feel as a result of breaking your leg is because you're a weak person. Would you?
Well,
Would
I
you
mean,
agree
it
with
is,
that?
isn't it? If you're
No,
a
your leg is
sister,
broken. It causes pain.
man, walk it out, rub some dirt in it, man. What
Okay.
the hell's going on here?
Yeah, and that's why you have the kind of scars you have.
Right.
That is why you have the outcomes you've experienced in life. That is how we typically do shit, right? Like,
Right.
we ignore the obvious, right? It's not a weakness. It's not whether or not you're strong enough. Look, when you understand the science of addiction, it leads to understanding. But when you judge the science of addiction, when you judge addiction, when you're using judgment, being judgmental with yourself or others, all it leads to is more pain and suffering, guilt and shame, which leads back to fuel for the addiction.
Yeah.
See, because remember this receptor needs the nicotine. This can also produce certain types of thoughts and emotions.
Right. To convince you to do what it wants you to do.
Correct. It's right. Going to do whatever. Remember, it has access to all your files, to your dossier. It has access to. It's got better case notes on you than I ever will. It knows where to trigger you, where to tickle you, in a sense, to grab your attention. It can be very powerful. See, this kind of understanding is going to help you learn how to. I almost want to say outsmart, but I would say outmaneuver. And because when you're fighting a formless, shapeless, adversary, you also have to become very flexible and fluid and shapeless, right? And so you learn to kind of flow with it. You learn to instead of bracing, to move with it, right? Or instead of moving with it, when to brace, right? It's this dance that you're going to have to learn to do. That is what recovery is about. We cannot get rid of X. And in fact, here's the beautiful thing. I hope everyone, Jess, Missy, Chrissy, and I also want to take a moment to acknowledge Chrissy shared a pretty powerful statement here.
Yeah, that's my aunt.
First of all, love for that. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that here, and it's a powerful story. And this is a good example of where the consequence can be so big to you that it's all that it takes to motivate you to, if you're willing to face it. I know a lot of people have probably got the same diagnosis who just kept smoking.
Mhm.
Right. But her why, and we'll get to that in a little bit. So we're talking about X. We're going to talk about the why in a minute. Her why was bigger than her X. Right. And we'll talk about that in a second. So we're talking about this X, this adversary. You ready for this? A lot of us want to be free of the X. We want to be free of the pain, right? And we see the pain as the adversary. But what if me and you learn one thing to a degree here, right? Me and you have learned that if it were not for the pain,
We couldn't be what we are.
we could not be who we are, and we could not be who we are to the people that we are those things to. So it's weird because the X can kill you, and or you can convert that interaction into the most powerful experience of your life that makes you who you are and who you love at the end of the day, right? And who everyone else can love, trust, depend on, and lean on, right? So this is why you don't want to defeat X. It's in all the books. It's in The Art of War. It's in Don Quixote. It's in all the books where it says you essentially turn your enemy into an ally. See, when we're in recovery, we make the mistake of thinking that our addiction is a monster, that it's a kukui, it's the anti-life, no, it's not. And without it, who would you be? The Chinese have a proverb. They say, if you remove all the darkness off of a mountain, all that remains is nothing.
Yeah.
You have to think that through, because you can't have life without darkness.
Yeah.
You can't have recovery and all that the joys that it brings without what we've been through, right? Recovery has been the introduction to the best parts of life that I would have never discovered if I never needed to recover from addiction.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%.
I wouldn't
Absolutely.
be the kind of dad I am. I wouldn't be the kind of friend I am. I wouldn't be the kind of helper I am.
Yeah.
We would have never gotten to the point where we wrote formers, where we have held meetings where people have had these life-altering moments in their life, right?
Who are still
Have
at
walked
it. Like,
you see what I mean?
yeah.
So the smoking is the X right now, but when your Y becomes bigger, your X will still remain, but will serve a different purpose.
Mhm.
Just like all that prison experience you have, all that gangbanging you have, all the crime and drugs and guns and violence you have, that your Y has become bigger than those X's, and as a result, you experience beauty.
And without those things in my past, I wouldn't be able to do what I do now, like mentally, emotionally, psychologically, interactively. One of my good friends asked me what I got out of doing this, right? Like the lives. And he was really like, why do you do those? And I was like, what do you get out of it? I was like, it ain't got nothing to do with me. Like, I hope you guys know, Sammy and I could be doing a ton of other things on Saturday mornings, right? Like, there's other things that we could be doing, but we're here because we want to be. And we're here, like, I don't want to expose myself to people, my weaknesses. And like Jess, Monty is a smoking enabler right there, right? Right there, Jess.
Block her.
Block her now. I put on that S on my chest for years and years and years. I convinced everybody I was untouchable, I was unhurtable, I was unbreakable. Like, no matter what you did to me, I would be standing. And the truth is, that's not who I am, right? I am just as complex and emotional as any other human being. I have needs, I have wants. I'm weak.
Let me correct something though. Okay, you fooled a lot of people, but I'm guessing there are a lot of people in your life who you didn't fool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who could see you who are sitting back with you now and saying, I'm glad you can finally see what I could see.
Yeah. You see it. Hey, I ain't made the Superman stance in a long time. I tell people all the time, I cry alone in my office in the dark, so I can't see myself be a bitch. But it is what it is. I I I get it. Like, I get it. And without all of those skills, like, we couldn't be here. And we're here because we need to share, right? Like, I want you guys to see what I go through and what Sammy goes through and what it takes to not go back to our old lives for you and me.
I could tell you right now, man, my heart is in a million pieces right now because what my kids are going through right now. And yet I know the path forward is the path forward.
Yeah.
We
gotta go.
It's my wife asked me to go to breakfast this morning. I said, I have an obligation every Saturday morning, and it hurts me to do that because it disappoints her. But she's also doing that thing to irritate the shit out of me because she knows I've been doing this shit forever.
Hey, I was going to make a comment. I was going to text her and be like, how come you never watch our lives? And then she shared our live. And I was like, damn it, Julie.
So let's go back to what we were talking about. And we're getting close to our time. So I want to make sure to talk about the why, because we talk a lot about the X. The X is the adversary, the struggles, the demons, whatever it is, right? And they're surrounding us. Amy shared a very wise but simple statement. She says it's the 12 steps. The 12 steps are the tools that you need to fight back against all the X's in your life, right? Let's talk about the why, because we're creating a formula here. I've turned this into a math formula. We have X plus Y equals what, right? The tools we're giving you. The information I gave you, here's the central nervous system. This is a receptor. You smoke a cigarette, chemicals go into it. And then this thing starts to control like certain control stations in your body that get you to behave a certain way. It's Pavlov. It's basically Pavlov, right? Ring the bell, dog salivates, give him food, right? We're just as much of an animal in that regard as anything else.
Yep.
We can be conditioned. You hear the keys in the gallery. What do? You're conditioned to those keys, right? At 5 o'clock, they bring mail. You're conditioned to be out there with your mirror. We get conditioned.
Yeah.
And then we get out, and that's where me and you struggled when we first got out, because all that conditioning was gone, and it's a fucking free-for-all. And we're like, I need conditions.
Right.
Right? And you realize there's no conditions other than the weeks that we make. Now, the why. One thing. I'm just using you as an example. We could ask anyone, and we will. Let's ask everyone on the call today. So we talk about in recovery, in performance, we talk about spirituality, and spirituality not meaning Christ, Muslim, none of that. It can, if that's your thing, so be it.
Right.
But spirituality for formers, in the context that we use it, is open-ended. It can be anything that you think it is. But the way we talk about it are the most meaningful relationships that you feel connected to, whether they're good or bad. What are the number one relationships you feel connected to, right? And when we ask the why, it isn't enough to just say, oh, my kids, my wife. That we can easily identify. If I had to guess for you, it's going to be your family. It's a big part of your why. Maybe it's your community, big part of your why. But why are those things the things that you feel connected to? So of all the things you feel connected to, you can identify it really quick in the chat. Of all the things that you feel the most connected to, right? Why do you feel that connected?
I said it at my wedding. This is the first time I felt that peace in my entire life. They bring that peace, right? That circle, that inner circle I have, those people, my support circle, right? All of you have taught me what peace is, right? And I've never felt that before. Like, I spent my whole life in turmoil from as long as I can remember, right? Like, through the addictions, through my dad's, abuse, through my family life, through my home life. Like, I never felt that peace. And it was really strange when I realized I felt it, right? Like that's
Well,
why
we got to
that's
deepen
why
that.
you guys are my spirituality. Like that's why
You got to deepen that though. Why is that important to you? Why has that piece become so important to you? Because while I see that you've identified the piece, I still don't know why that's become so important to you. What is it? What is it about that part of your why that has become like that critical? It's great. You can say, yeah, this is important to me. But if I had to tell your story to your children one day, I still couldn't tell them why that piece meant so much to you.
because it makes me happy. It makes me happy to know that after everything and all the years that I am happy, that I'm content. My happiness is there. I'm not reaching or floundering through, right? Like this happiness is happy. Even when I'm sad, right? Like Junior's birthday is coming up in a couple days. And I think about it constantly. Right? Like it crosses my mind at all times. And all I keep thinking is I'm happy that I have who I have around me because it makes me happy, right? Like no matter how sad I am, I have all of you. Like that happiness there. And if you weren't here, like if everybody left and it was just me, I would still know, right? That I have that peace, that I have that calm, that I have that happiness there. We're not going to get on those sissy shit. So
hold on. So that's your why. In order to defeat your ex, which is for this purpose, cigarettes, your why has to become bigger than your ex. Do you see what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
Because until you can make the business case to yourself that your why is bigger than your ex. And so here's the trick here. And I'm not trying to trick you into any decision or action. For me, if I was in your situation, which I am in other ways, as soon as my why legitimately becomes bigger than my ex, it becomes an immediate change. It's not because your sense of urgency becomes awakened here. You wake up to the fact that fuck, this is standing between my why and me, my peace, my happiness. And I'm going to say, I would add or maybe further what you've said and say, it also gives me the most likely chance to be the best I can to these relationships that matter the most to me, right? Like it improves me for them too. Like I become more for them, right? Because I really am in that state of mind lately where I'm just trying to pour it on. I don't know why. I just want to pour on the love. I want to pour on the support. I want to pour on the, whatever I can to. Dude, I was at this training for work, and on my lunch break, I called Julie to apologize for something I realized as a result of this training over lunch. I could have just said, I'll do better next time. I'm like, no, I'm going to go back and make this better.
Right.
And she cried on the phone with me for like 5 minutes and was like, I was thinking about that, babe. Thank you. Like, it means so, that why has to become bigger than your ex or any of the exes. And you're surrounded by exes. We all are. And I'm trying to create this diagram to kind of highlight this. But in reality, Monte, you'll stop smoking when you foster the why over the X. So X plus Y equals for you peace. You won't have that peace until you do that. You won't have complete peace. You'll have it in pockets. But remember, it's like recovery. You can't leave any issue unaddressed. And so I know you're working on a lot of issues like I am, right? But smoking is just one of them. It's just one of them. And so we'll wrap this up on this brain doozy. Another Jedi Knight wisdom component, right? So we talked about X, that's the adversary. We talked about your why, the most important reasons you're alive and still connected to things, people, places, and things. Some people might call that your higher power, but that's not how we reference that here, and that's not what we mean. It's literally the most important relationships you have. And so you can see why that might be God for someone, or it might be family for someone, or it might be this or that. It could be a person, place, or thing. And really, places and things aren't the thing. It's what they symbolize to us. It's the image it creates that makes us feel why this is important. So like, I have this ring, I could lose the ring, but who it makes me think of and what it makes me think of, this symbol makes a very complex story very simple for me to see and take in all at once, right? That's why we have people, places, and things. It's not because we're trying to oversimplify it. It's not the inanimate. And you already know, like, I have all this medicine behind me and over here. My family has said it's not this at all. These are the symbols that help you remind yourself, because you're forgetful of how you're connected to this place and what your responsibilities are. These things symbolize my responsibilities and duties. They're there to remind me that they're not the source. They lead me to the source because of what they remind me of, right? Your why is not the source. Your why is the symbol of what you're trying to remember throughout your life. So peace represents something else for you. That's why this is important for you to dig into the why. The more you understand your why, Monte, the more you fulfill your role as a man in this role.
Right.
And through that identity, all the other roles you play, especially the one you play for yourself. You follow me?
I do.
So X plus Y in your situation equals P, which is peace. And so as you're thinking of reasons and ways to quit smoking, which is your X, you have to filter that through your why. And then that's when you become willing to suffer more, which leads us to our final point, which I'm finally going to get to. 3 certainties about life you cannot escape. I want you to put these in the chat bar when I'm done saying them. Maybe even, like as a comment so people can see it or whatever. You cannot escape pain and suffering. Suffering, and we talk about suffering and learning to suffer well. Right? Pain. You cannot escape pain and suffering. The second thing you cannot escape is uncertainty or unknown, the unknown. We always have to face it. And these X's are what introduces to the unknown. It's only when you're introduced to the unknown, brother, is when you start to see and experience the benefits of change. When you're not confronted with the unknown, you'll never grow. There's no opportunity for growth. Without the X, there's no opportunity for growth. Right. There's no opportunity, believe it or not, for happiness or peace.
Right.
If you remove all the darkness off a mountain, what do you have? Right? If I take the X's out of your life, if I had a magic wand that could remove, what would you have? You would have nothing. That bond you have with your children would be gone. It's weird how this works out. It's through the X, right? So we've identified you can't escape pain and suffering, uncertainty or the unknown. And here's the other thing you can't escape. And this is where we lose people in recovery. You ready? Constant work. We cannot escape constant work. And recovery is exactly what we just said, which is constant work. Which is why it's just as critical for me and you to be on here as many Saturdays in a row as we can make it, because it's a part of our work too, right? And we're sharing our work for the benefit, hopefully for the benefit of others, to learn from our work. So we have the constant of life is pain and suffering, unknown, uncertainty, constant work, which is why a recovery program is so powerful for guys like me and you, because it gives us that structure we needed to move forward in our life. But remember, those 3 things are not the point of life. You just can't escape these points of life, but they're not the point of life. The point of life is what you said, which is to live your fucking life as happy as possible. and I'm gonna put it this way on purpose, be fucking happy.
Hey, you
And
want to
you're
hear
still
something?
surrounded by exes, regardless.
You want to hear something fucked up but great?
Yes.
So, my whole life, when I thought about recovery, 12 steps, and all that, I thought about the struggle and how hard it was going to be, and how painful and how miserable. And I felt more joy while in recovery than I ever did when partying, using, banging, and doing all that other stuff, right? Like,
Man.
I don't think people realize, like, when they avoid recovery and they avoid that initial separation from the other stuff, right? I don't think they understand about how much joy there is in recovery. Like I told you from the get-go, bro, from like 6 months after we started, when you asked that, and it was 6 months after I started in the group, that you had said, where do you find joy in your recovery? That changed how I looked at recovery in itself immediately, right? That statement immediately stopped me in my tracks and made me think, wait a minute, what is he talking about? Joy in recovery? Recovery is miserable. Wait, I thought this was hard shit. What do you mean joy? And then when I started seeing
Are we getting
what you were saying,
I want to go now.
wait, we gotta wait for Mama to come home. She'll be home in a minute. You want to say hi to Uncle Sammy?
I am for 7.
Hey, Papa.
Tell him who's not wearing a
Amigo.
diaper anymore.
I'm not wearing a diaper anymore.
What?
No, he's
All
not. He's
right.
going to school next year, aren't you? With
That's
all the other
right.
kids, you're going to go to school.
Gotta wear clothes too.
Yep. Yeah. That's why he stopped using the diaper, was because he wanted to be able to go to school.
Oh,
the other kids.
nice. Good job, Mijo.
Yeah. So yeah.
Hey, Papa, you want to come spend the summer with me next year?
You want to go see Uncle Sammy for the summer?
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd like that?
Yes. You can send him down here, bro. I will,
Maybe we'll
I
bring
will
him down
love-
there.
I will love him. I will love him.
You miss your Uncle Sammy?
Huh?
Yeah.
I miss you too, Papa.
Yeah, I think people are missing that. They're missing the thought that
No.
there's so much joy in recovery.
Well, see, so now you're talking about the 12th step. Because we know this, Monte.
That's why we do
and
this.
A part of our job is to spread the message,
What is
Let me see.
right?
Let me see.
Part of our
Let's
job
see.
is to spread the message, which is why we do this. We owe it to
You're taking
ourselves and
pieces
to the
of your
people in
mom's
our community. We owe this, you know. So,
No doubt.
guys, I've got to get going. I've got a wife waiting to take me to breakfast.
Love you, Julie.
Hey, brother, I hope this has been as good for you as it was for me. To all our listeners, happy
Those are
holidays.
helpful.
As we
Missy said
celebrate
pants
these
are
holidays.
optional. I'm not going to lie to you guys. When we do these feeds, I am dressed from the waist up.
Sometimes he has no clothes on.
Miss you too, sweetie. I'm in my drawers right now. Like, I'm not putting on pants if I don't have to. I get it. I understand why the boy doesn't like to wear pants. I don't want to wear them either.
Yeah, no, I always had to have pants on.
No.
Just a thing.
Dude,
I don't know.
I'm not even kidding you. Do you remember when I got switched to the Jason PO and he was moving my stuff around back? He came to do a house visit with his partner one time and came to the door, and I'm standing there in a cup of coffee. I opened the door, and he goes, "Are you going to put on pants?" I was like, "Is it required?" Because no, like, I'm not. You want to come on in and check the house, bro.
See,
And he made his partner stay outside.
Missy, FYI, we're both married. We have no balls.
None.
Okay, just
None.
I have nothing but daughters. I have no balls.
Even worse for me, Missy, I have no balls, and if I did, Tater would knock him off anyways, because that's his favorite place to punch for no reason whatsoever.
Oh, God. All right, y'all. We're out of here. Now that we've
Love
ended
you
on
guys.
such a great note.
We will see you next week. You know what
Next
this
week,
is,
yeah.
you guys. We love you.
Much love,
Farmers
y'all.
Anonymous every Saturday morning.
Who?
Peace.